Yo, what's up, brothers and sisters? Earlier this morning, I put out a short from 2 Corinthians 10:12. I wanted to go on a little bit of a quick study on that. What does 2 Corinthians 10:12 mean, family? For we dare not make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they are measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise, or they're without understanding, family. Paul is answering challenges to his authority as apostle, family, made by the false teachers among the Corinthians. One of their accusations was that Paul's letters were bold and strongly worded. He was unimpressive as a person when he was with them in person. In other words, the Corinthians did not need to worry about what Paul wrote, since he could not back it up in a meaningful way when he showed up. Paul's answer is that he and his friends would, in fact, do everything he wrote in his letters, no matter how unimpressive he might appear. Now he clarifies somewhat sarcastically, of course, that he does not see himself as being in competition with his opponents in Corinthian. They are commending themselves to the Corinthians based on secular standards, family, that include dramatic speaking ability and skillful self-promotion. Paul is not, participate in the cultural competition to be the most popular or the most followed publicly, a public personality, like many of, people today with their followings and their subscribers and their likes and their views. He didn't care about all that. He cared about the gospel and getting the truth out and standing up for God. That's a game that Paul absolutely refuses to play, and that we also should refuse to play in today's society, family. He doesn't need to win, their approval. He truly represents Christ to the Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 10:1-18 contains Paul's response to charges against him from the critics in Corinthian. They claim that though his letters are potent, he is pathetic in person. Paul does not argue either point. However, he issues a stern warning that when he will arrive, he will be prepared for boldness in Christ and punishing every disobedience. He describes the conflict with the false apostles as a spiritual war, family. He and his associates plan to win that battle by capturing the thoughts of the Corinthians again, so they will obey Christ. And he will not boast to defend himself. He only boasts in the Lord. Critics and the other opponents in Corinthian argue that though Paul's letters are strong and weighty, he is unimpressed, an unimpressive person. In response, Paul warns the Corinthians not to make him show out, more or less, family, not to show how bold he can be when he does arrive. Paul and his partners fight for the truth of God and the gospel. They battle against spiritual weapons that destroy. They use their spiritual weapons that destroy any false argument. He won't trade boasting with the false apostles. He will only boast in the Lord, who approves of him. He's not worried about the mere concerns of man. The Corinthians should know that they came to Christ as a result of Paul's ministry to them as an apostle.